Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan Dunston, the Ryan Dunston podcast, Words from a Humble King. Welcome back. We have two guests, very special guests. I'm excited about this. I'm a little intimidated though because I feel like they're gonna dig in my gut and tear out all my heart. Dig into. But I have Cabri, and I have introduce yourself, Miss Nicole, and I want you guys. I don't want to take anything from you. You guys have a platform that you guys do, and this is the reason why I had you guys on. I'm intrigued about what you guys are attacking in terms of mission and how you guys feel about the show that you're doing. But talk a little bit about your platform.
Okay. Capri's outspoken. I am the one who normally speaks about like the background, the mission, and things
Okay,
like that.
okay,
But hello, everyone. I'm Ryan. Thank you so much for having us.
sure.
This is, I guess, a continuance of last week, just with a
Mm-hmm.
little different spin on it.
Yeah.
But we are the ladies of Natural and Naked. This is we are going into our third year come January. And the reason why we started this platform is because there was actually three of us. But life started to happen for the other host that we had, and she had to, remove some things off of her plate. But I started to realize that we were all in very different periods of our life, and we were all struggling in
Yeah.
different areas.
Sure.
But I also found that we were only reaching out to us three, right? So when you think about it, when you're pouring so much onto one individual, that can become very, very heavy for them.
Yeah, you can bleed on them.
Yeah. So I, went to them and I said, what if we created a platform where we are allowing a safe space for people to share, to be authentically who they are, natural and naked. And that means like shedding the appearance of being rejected or failing or feeling like you're alone in dealing with a particular situation. And we created this platform. But it has kind of morphed into a resource for people. It has morphed into a community. It has morphed into a happy hour, so to speak.
Which is, yeah, right.
Cheers.
Yeah.
So we really just wanted to create a platform where everyone who came on had a safe space to be who they are and to share their story or share their information, which can help someone else, but also just making it seem like we were on the couch just talking
For
with a drink
sure.
in our hand.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, man. I was able to join you guys on one of your shows, which is pretty dope, and I appreciate you guys inviting me in. But I was able to be vulnerably broken. I was able to be broken and talk about my brokenness, and then also talk about how I got past my brokenness. You guys have provided a platform where a man can come in and safely be broken, and talk to you guys about some of the things that we deal with as men, to give you guys an inside perspective on what we deal with, so that you guys can kind of approach the right way. And I know that you two have a certain understanding or maybe a certain feeling about that approach, and I think that that's what I want to dig into today. um, my first question for both of you is this.
Oh, we just getting into.
Yeah, we're getting into it. We're getting into it. And listen, I want you to think deeply about this one, because it's monumental in how we connect, right? Because we have to come to a mutual understanding in order for us to have a sustainable relationship.
Absolutely.
So I want to get you guys' perspective on this. How are you guys allowing us to be able to feel? And when I say that, what you see from a man in reality is still feeling. It may not be what you're used to. It may not be what you want, right? We never get what we want. We always have to build what we want. Right? So when a man comes to you, right, everybody has a past, and you guys are also going through your own past. How do you approach a man who's feeling in whatever way he's feeling, right? For me, my wife had to approach me and adapt to the anger that I had, that I didn't know that I had. And she also had to filter through her brokenness in order to be able to connect with me, which caused her to change and to be able to humble herself enough, because my anger was overwhelming. My anger was loud. My anger was big, right? So her coming to me big is a challenge. Now that was never going to work if she decided to challenge the way that I was mad and angry. She came under my gate. How have you guys been reacting to men who are feeling in the moment, whether they're broken, whether they're dealing with anger, whether they're dealing with shame, addiction habits, whatever? How have you been able to adapt and approach? It's tough. Big deal, right?
It is a big deal.
For sure.
But I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, me and Nicole have done a lot of work within ourselves to be able to do the approaching a little bit differently, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're asking that question, are you specifically asking us two individual
from your own
women?
Personal experiences?
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think it is a one-size-fit-all answer.
No.
I firmly believe that you just have to pay attention and be aware of what each other are, or what your person is going through. You can't meet someone who has an attitude with an attitude. What's going to happen? It's going to explode. No one's going to hear each other. You're going to start yelling. And there's a communication breakdown after that. There's an emotional breakdown after that, right?
Yep.
So I think the first thing is recognizing that there is an issue at hand, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can ask the person if they want to talk about it or not. But depending on what that conversation is, you then act accordingly.
Yeah.
If you want space, you give space. If you want me to sit here and coddle you, I will coddle you. If you
can I can I intervene right there?
Why not?
Coddle. Listen, I don't know how to be coddled. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
Like cry on your shoulder?
It's almost like, well, what's wrong? Do you want to talk about it? If you don't want to talk about it, I'll leave you alone. But I can see that something is wrong here.
Is that coddling?
I feel
when
like
you said it, I didn't get that.
He got more.
You got more of a
got
negative
more,
thing.
Yeah.
You got negative things.
Because words trigger.
Words trigger.
And right. And as a man, I don't necessarily like to. I don't want.
To be coddled?
Don't tell me you coddling me.
But I see. But
It is right. I do got a little bit of pride, but I'm a man.
Yeah, but you may be
But I'm a man.
You want that soft.
Yeah, you don't want her to be so
soft
hard
I
towards
do.
you.
I want the soft, but all right.
Getting coddled and
Your
That's my
engineer
point.
Is looking at you like you're crazy
That's my
right
point.
now.
That's listen. Words move you around, right? Right. So okay. So I guess the way that you just explained it just simply means a wife understanding my situation. It doesn't have to be a wife, coddling me. My wife is understanding me. That's it.
I feel like you are hearing the word coddle, or I feel like when you hear the word coddle, you hear pacify.
Well, let me ask you.
Wait, but is that what you hear?
Yes. But from a man's perspective,
so
do you guys, when we do certain things, don't you hear something different than what we mean often?
Yeah.
That's exactly what that coddle situation is.
Rephrase that.
For me.
Say that again.
There's certain things that you guys hear that we are not saying, even though the words that are coming out of our mouth are providing different meaning in your head. Right. So that's what I'm saying here. The coddle situation is providing a different meaning in my head than the way that you guys mean it.
Absolutely. Okay. So then,
the way that she mean it, and that's my thing. Like you can't let me coddle you, okay? And in my anger and in my frustration,
but
that's not what I really want to hear.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I can't coddle you while you're angry. I can't do that. Right. What would you prefer? Like so if you're my spouse, wait a minute, if you're my spouse, mm-hmm. or if you're my boyfriend or whatever the case may be, mm-hmm. and we're learning each other, mm-hmm. and I say, okay, I see that this is how you are responding. What do you need from me in this moment? And you can't tell me.
Right.
We are left to our own devices to kind of eliminate, like go through trial and error to figure out how to reach you.
So that's the change. That's the change I'm talking about. Because you're right. We are going through things that you have to react to. I want to know.
React and respond are differently, though.
Sure, but you still have to listen. You still have to be a human who is being in that moment, right? So what I'm asking both of you, how have you guys dealt with a man who is actively feeling? See, this is the thing. Most women want us to feel. Most women want us to, I want you to express your emotions.
Can I give you an example? I'm going to cut you off. And this is something that I took pride
She
in.
said, I'm going to cut you off.
Yes, I'm so sorry. This is something that I took pride in because this individual could not articulate to me what support looked like while he was in a mood or in a space. So I could recognize that what we had already talked about, like having mental, this sounds so like, it sounds so bad when you say like mental
Words
issues.
have meaning.
Yeah, it sounds so bad when you say mental issues, but you know, they were battling mentally.
Okay, I understand that.
And they didn't necessarily know how to be vulnerable and tell you what support looked like. So I was left to my own devices to try to figure out what support looked like without pressing the issue on, you can come and talk to me. You can, you know, let me know what's going on. I didn't want to do that. So what I did was took it upon myself to do some research on some books, right? Some mental health books and some journals for Black men, so that whenever he is feeling and he cannot verbally express, he can write it down and at a later date come and say, you know what, this is what was bothering me, because you were able to get it out of your brain, put it on a piece of paper, and now you can talk through it.
Okay. Nicole? Because you've been quiet.
Because I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening. I think, first, you know, I'm not in a dating atmosphere.
Me
so
either.
I have to go off of, you know,
Me either.
my...
Speaking of it.
Speaking of that, put it out there. Put it in the universe. The universe, grab it, because she's claiming it.
Pull it, yeah, pull it.
Pull it back.
Grab it,
Yes.
grab it, blab it in.
So I think from what I have learned, and I know Terrence is watching, so he can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the first thing is, for me, and what I've identified that has worked, is one, understanding the man that you're dealing with. I think knowing, and all men don't communicate, they don't tell us the things they've been through, they don't tell us the things we want to know, those deep down things. So I think understanding what you're dealing with first, and then after that, the reassurance part. Like, we talked about this, what was it, last week? Mm-hmm. Not getting upset if they don't want to talk. Just reassuring that, you know, I know something is going on. I know that you are feeling or whatever. I'm here. And leave it there, because they got to process just like we got to process.
So how do you deal with that? Because that's actually what I want to dig into, right? Because I know as a man, you have to respond to the healing I'm trying to go through. So as a man, there's moments where I don't want to talk. I want to go figure it out because I'm a fixer. Mm-hmm. But you dealing with who I'm deciding to be in those moments is changing you in those moments. Yeah. How do you deal with that weight? How do you deal with
with you not telling me what's wrong?
Exactly.
It's humbling. You said it. It's humbling yourself. So in my relationship, we are two alpha people. So before I knew what I knew, I was always like, "Oh, you don't want to talk to me. What, I ain't do nothing to you. So whoever you mad at, don't bring that over here. I'm trying to help you." Mm-hmm. So that is not what you want to hear.
Nope.
So somebody, I can still be an alpha female, but I need to know when to be an alpha female. Yeah. So for me, it's more so just taming it and being what you need in that moment. I don't have to be an alpha female with you because you're my husband or you're my boyfriend. So at the end of the day, I gotta tame those emotions and those feelings and understand my role in your life. At the end of the day, I can't get an attitude because you're feeling.
Honestly speaking, right? Have you? And this is important because men are going to be tuning into this.
Mm-hmm.
Have you mistakenly had an attitude
Not mistakenly.
on purpose? Then
Yeah.
I don't think
you get it.
You purposely, I think
You
you
so
purposely have an attitude.
Let me tell you what that
I
sounds
don't-
like. Whoa. For men, I want to be clear here
No, yeah,
that
no,
you guys understand that I hear you saying I caught an attitude
That is
on
why-
purpose
No.
because of how you feel.
This
That
is
is
why
why
I
I
said this is why I say it on purpose.
That is why I cut you off.
No,
That's what I'm
what I want you
saying.
to hear, because you are aware. You're aware. You're aware of your reactions. You're aware of your feelings. You're aware of your response. So you are purposely giving a response. I can't say that I got an attitude with you by mistake because you won't tell me what's wrong. No, that came like it came, you have to be an adult and process. And that's something that we don't do. We as women, you said what? That's why they tell us that we don't listen.
So anger is a secondary emotion.
Yes.
And when I say catch an attitude, there's a little bit of anger in there.
Exactly. You got to process the first. That's what I mean by processing.
So what is it about? If anger is secondary emotion, you choose, right? You're like, man, I'm so mad that he won't let me in.
Right. I'm choosing to get angry
Why?
on purpose. Because that's what you're human. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's a human reaction.
Well, the human reaction had whys connected to it, right? Yeah, yes, I'm gonna react that way, but I'm reacting that way because I'm a what? Or because I feel like what? Or because I am like what is it?
I was about to say because I am a woman.
No.
I was
Well,
about to get you.
No, I'm just asking because
Yeah, no,
because
I get
as men, right? When we feel anger, we're feeling anger because of something. For myself personally, I feel anger because my circumstances have pushed me around, and I feel like in the past I've been bullied by my circumstances because I've been given a struggle that I didn't choose. So as a man, I'm able to articulate to you now. Most men can't. But I'm able to articulate to you because of the healing journey I've been trying to go on or progressing in has taught me that I have chosen anger because I feel safe behind anger because I don't feel safe behind being vulnerable enough to cry in front of women or do whatever the case may be if I can't solve my problems or do whatever. So I'm choosing to be mad because I can't figure something out. As a man, that's who I am. Now, women, on the other hand, you're responding to us in that matter. You're changing in that matter as well. But you're angry at us because you can't get in where we are. But there's reasons.
Reciprocated. So we women are naturally vulnerable creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in our DNA to be vulnerable. Now our circumstances can change our level of vulnerability, right? And then depending upon what we choose to do as far as our healing journey, it can come back to us. It can come back to us, or we can continue to get further away from that vulnerability. But when we are with someone who we have committed ourselves to, and Nicole, please, you have gone on this journey longer than I have, but and I'm referencing you being a married woman.
Well,
listen,
I want you to think about this. Think about what you're saying from this perspective, because you're trying to provide a safe space for a man to come in, right? So that means when we have a date, your aura or your understanding of how a man is or how you need to respond to a man, that provides a safe, if it's done correctly, it provides a safe place for me to come on in and be vulnerable with you. And then as a woman who is connected to me in that manner, gets to know a little bit more about me that most women won't get a chance to know. But you got to provide that safe space. How do you do that from your perspective, being a single woman?
I'm about to give you a very it's probably going to be an inappropriate answer.
Well, I tell you, most men are going to be looking at it.
But and that's fine. But it might sound like it's inappropriate, but it's really not, because that's just who I am.
Well, this is what the moment calls for. We got to be truthful.
I am currently in therapy trying to figure all of this out. However, when I am dating with someone, I date, especially now being that I'm 35, I date with intentionality, and I give what I want to be given to me. I know we're going to speak specifically about black men. I know the plight that our black men go through. I know that the world tends to be against them.
That's big.
I don't want to be the one that is also against you. I want you to feel safe with me, right? I want you to know that I got your back, right? I want you to know that whatever you did in your past life, as long as you didn't kill nobody or do nothing to no kids, you know, I'm not here to judge you. I am here to let you know that not everybody is against you, right? That is how I feel. Kabri's job is when I am dating someone, because if I am dating with intentionality, I want it to go somewhere. This is not just I'm dating for meals, right? You heard the term, like dating to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
You know, that's not why I am interested in someone. And then, you know, eventually, depending on how, you know, the conversation is and the connection is with that individual, you realize you're actually just starting to talk about things that you've never talked about, because it doesn't seem forced. It is literally genuine conversation and connection. I went out on a date with one person, with an individual the first night, and we sat in my car, and he ended up talking about the turmoil that he experienced with his dad and started crying. So I was just like, I was taken aback a little bit.
That's actually big, because in order for a man to feel that way, he really has to feel like that's allowed in that area and in that space.
One thing that I can like really pat myself on the back for is allowing a safe space for people to vent. Like I cherish that, because we went through, this is why we created our platform.
Yeah.
We've gone through not being able to share with our whole group what's really going on with us, for fear of rejection, for fear of somebody looking at us with the side eye, or saying, well, girl, you 30, why you don't got no career yet? Or you XYZ, why is this? Like, we've all experienced that, and that is not a good feeling to have. So with me experiencing that, I don't never want somebody that I'm dating or have a romantic connection with to feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Nicole, jump in here for a second here. I want to hear your perspective, because I know, Kabri, you're coming from a single perspective and a dating perspective, but from a husband's perspective, right? You guys, you and your husband, you have some years in the game. I know me and my wife, we got 16 years in. You know, you guys have something like that too, and there's been cycles. There's been cycles of healing that you've had that you're reintroduced to, and you're trying to become acclimated and adapt to. How have you changed your thinking? And before you answer that question, I know, man, we running out of time, man. It's already 1 minute. So, you know, yeah. So for an episode. Did I talk too much? No. No, you didn't. We needed your perspective. And I know we got a live going on too, so I'm not gonna shrink it, but I do want to get that part in, but it'll have to reside on part 2. So listen, this is the Ryan Dunston podcast. These are words from a humble king. We're gonna have Nicole and Kabri back. We're gonna have Naked and Natural back.
Natural, say it right.
Naked and Natural.
Natural and naked.
I said Natural and Naked. My goodness. Naked and Natural. I'm sorry. Natural and Naked. I'm sorry. Natural and Naked. We're gonna have you guys back for part 2, because I am interested, Nicole, in hearing your perspective and nurturing your husband as he goes through his cycles of healing. So, guys, I look forward to you guys tuning in to part 2 of this interview. This is the Ryan Dunston podcast. These are words from a humble king. Thank you guys for joining us.